beautiful day out today here in Town.
It is.
And guys, we got some got to get you updated on a couple of things that's going on around the league. A
Yep.
lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff that's going to make you question some things, and then there's going to be some stuff that makes you think and hopefully extends an olive branch and helps someone in need potentially. So, hey, I just react to the news stories. They're right in front of me, and you're just getting raw, authentic. I don't even look them up. I'm kidding. We do our research here. We're an established organization, classy stuff. Nick is a great research guy.
Thank you.
I'm an okay guy, so I use a lot of his stuff and just add a little pizzazz, if you will. But excited to be here again today. Actually, for those of you who don't know, I mean, you might be able to tell, but Nick is actually in the Chi-Town based
I
on
am. I
that
am.
little upside down M behind you,
I'm in
I
the.
believe.
I am. I am in town to perform a wedding. I'm actually performing a wedding in
Mhm.
about still another like 5 or 6 hours, but
Yeah. So
yeah.
we got enough time to bring you the news. But I will say this: if you are looking for someone to do your wedding, this guy is very phenomenal.
I'm available.
Very phenomenal.
Get at me,
And he's available.
Coach Izzo on Twitter, guys. Get at me.
Yep. I will say the only thing is his price is pretty steep. So $1,000 per wedding, but like you just budgeted in there, he offers a payment plan, and so it's okay
That's
actually.
per hour, I think,
But
actually, at this point.
yeah, that is. So, but speaking of weddings, and you just bringing families together,
Yep,
two families that not used to each other. It's an interesting dynamic sometimes,
it is.
but I think weddings are like they're better for having that aspect of having that other your significant other's family there.
Yeah.
It adds an excrement of like curiosity. But I think the Bills kind of have something similar going on in their organization. I don't know if you saw this, but they've hired 4 women, a couple
I
offense
did see that.
assistants, a couple interns, and I will say this, Nick, I'm here for it
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I only think you as an organization, the more like perspectives you can get in your organization, I only think makes it better.
Yep.
So hey, I'm super happy for the Bills organization. I think they're definitely getting some great assistants, interns, and I think they're it's just an organization that's like doing it right,
Yep.
and making a place a little more equality like, and I think that's like those are the type of things that I would love to see people study because I think that will have an impact on the Bills. I would just be curious to see how much of an impact on that when you get multiple different perspectives in a room and you see what kind of can take place from there.
Absolutely. I think it's awesome. I think for anyone that, and I understand there may be some people that don't get it, right? I understand that, the common thought that people have is, well, they didn't play, right? That's the thing you
Yeah,
hear all the time. And I just think it's important to dispel like rumors like that, right? And thoughts like that. Like, and the
yeah,
reality is if you look at the NBA for a long time, the NBA as well as college basketball have had coaches who did not play. They did not play at that
yeah,
level. For example, Lawrence Frank, a guy that used to coach the Pistons that you're familiar with, coached in back-to-back NBA finals with the New Jersey Nets. He did not even play high school basketball. He played like at his
yeah.
church league and was just a manager. Was a manager in high school, was a manager in college. He never played the sport, and yet coached in 2 NBA finals. He was
Yep,
the president, I believe, of the Clippers at one point, or something along those lines, vice president of the Clippers. And so you've seen it all over the place in other sports.
yep,
Matt Lafleur, we love Matt Lafleur, but I think Matt
yep.
Lafleur might have been like a Division 3 player or something like that. Like it's like there's tons of coaches with these stories, right? Is my point. And you don't have to have played to be able to do the type of jobs, especially in modern day coaching. It's a very analytical position. It's a position where you just have to be able to teach techniques well. If you can communicate with people and you can teach people something and you can help make players better, they'll listen to you and they'll appreciate you. And more teams should be looking to find the best and brightest minds, regardless
Yeah,
of any other factors.
yep, yeah. Especially if that's your business, like to be the best, you think you would be taking a Moneyball approach and doing things that were a little different, or you wouldn't think, but like you see them happening in other organizations, and it seems to be working for them. I do think like the NFL, they're a leader in some things. We talked about how the NBA is like a big leader and like a lot of like movements forwards
Yep.
and stuff like that. Um, it is a little surprising to see like the NFL and in sports just kind of be a laggard in this category.
Yep.
Um, just because, like you said, like there are some great women's basketball coaches that coach women's basketball that could easily just coach men's basketball,
Yep.
but you don't see that in the NBA, unfortunately, as much,
Yeah.
and that should be something that could be, more as well. But yeah, I'm excited for the Buffalo Bills. I hope to see a lot of other organizations do this. An organization that I see probably not doing it is, the freaking Patriots and that lying piece of shit, Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Not my words, guys. Not my words, okay? This is Jim McMahon
Coming.
back in the day when he was a little quarterback for good old Bill. And apparently this story came out over on Barstool. I was reading a little bit about it, Nick. Very interesting to see Jim McMahon's take on Bill Belichick being a piece of shit. Essentially, there was some lying
Oh, okay.
going back and forth. Bill was like promising him some stuff. Like pretty much from the story that I read, it sounded like Bill Belichick was trying to keep Jim McMahon on as a retainer.
Uh-huh.
Like how you would a lawyer.
Yeah, okay.
Like, yeah, we're not gonna have you sign for the first 6 day or 6 weeks,
Uh-huh.
but like 7, 8, 9, they signed him, and then I think Mike Lombardi was the GM there.
Yeah.
And apparently Jim McMahon choked him in the hallway.
Sounds about
So
right.
there's like so when you're going through the story, you're like, okay, well, did it happen? I don't really know,
Right.
but could it? I mean, because there's parts in it that make it seem like it's a fairy tale, but there's parts of it that also make it seem like very factual. Like Bill Belichick, could he be a lying piece of shit? I think he could,
Yeah. In fairness, he's he's a winning
but
lying piece of shit if he is though. And you
yeah,
know,
yeah, for sure.
is it sour grapes from Jim McMahon? I mean, possibly. Jim McMahon is
Yeah,
certainly an interesting character, right? I think that people
yeah,
that are familiar with him
yeah.
can understand that as far as a trustworthy news source, he does fall in that category of like, I mean, let's
Do you even think he's remembering it correctly?
oh, that's the thing too, right? I know you have to wonder, right? It's like, because with him, I just, I'm not calling him a liar. I'm just saying, if you were to not be very sure that he's the most reliable source, I think you have a lot of other people that would be in that camp with you.
Yes,
And so,
100% agree.
it's Belichick has had a little bit of a different career than Jim McMahon, though in fairness, both Super Bowl champions, and
Yeah,
you cannot take that away from them. So,
mm,
I mean, if he's going to keep
yeah,
firing shots over at Belichick, I'm cool with it.
yeah,
I'm totally cool with it. I feel as though Jim McMahon is probably the type of person that's built for maybe the type of content that we make. I really think that
yeah,
he's
for
got to
sure.
he
You know what? We might have to call up Jimmy Boy and see if we can get him on the show here and see if we can clear this air with Bill
absolutely
Belichick.
sunglasses on and
So
everything, right?
for sure, I'll even put a pair on for I'll even go so far as to do the Super Bowl shuffle with him if he's had me.
There we go. He'd probably have you. He'd probably have you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just a good enough quarterback that got the job done.
Uh,
But speaking of quarterbacks, a little quarterback controversy going on in Philly.
okay.
It's drumming up. Not as big as Chicago, but Jalen Hurts is the guy. So far, it's kind of up in the air, but it's leaning towards Jalen Hurts being the guy.
Uh,
But it did come out that like he's not named the starter yet, so it might be a little quarterback controversy between Jalen Hurts, the elite quarterback Joe Flacco.
okay.
I'm kidding, guys, and rookie Jamie Newman out of Georgia. So that's it's an interesting like quarterback room over in Philly, I would say.
It
I
is.
mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts needs to be too worried about a quarterback competition. So I think he's like rightfully so that he's like not. He said he wasn't above a quarterback competition,
Um,
and also like he's only been in the league for a few years, so like yeah, you shouldn't really be above a quarterback competition, But like that's like one of those questions is like
I mean,
what else to say? Like, oh, I should be the starting quarterback after
right,
being in the league just a few years. Like,
right.
I mean, just go out there, ball out. He knows he's good enough to win that spot, so I don't think he's very worried about it. But watch out for that rookie Jamie Newman coming hard for that number one spot.
Well, and it's weird, right? Because like what I don't love about that for like the Eagles, if I'm an Eagles
Yeah,
fan, is who is kind of stirring this up. Where if we're being totally honest, like Jalen Hurts is a player that the Eagles are very high on, right? He's
yep,
he's he's a serious play. a guy that he's a first round pick, right? Um, did he win a national championship at Alabama? They've won so many,
I
but
think
then every
it,
now and then, I
I
think he
know.
was one of them that
Yeah.
did. But regardless, we all know the kid's a great player. My thing
Yeah.
is there really that much of a competition between him,
Yeah.
Flacco, and a rookie that I'm not saying the kid isn't good. I'm not saying Newman isn't good. I mean, is there really a competition
We
there?
don't know.
It
We don't
it
know if he's good or
feels
not, to be honest.
it feels like there's probably not much of a competition there. And so
No.
if you're in Philly, it's kind of like I imagine, the Eagles fans I know like Jalen Hurts, and I think
Yeah.
if you're sitting there watching that news story, I think you're thinking to yourself, why are we creating this controversy like for some reason in the media? Maybe it's the media, maybe it's the coaching staff, maybe the coaching staff trying to motivate Jalen Hurts or whatever. But I just think like I don't know that there's really that much of a competition. And
Yeah.
and so it's unfortunate when you see those stories get out, right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
that just seems like it's going to be more of a distraction for the team. And you just
Yeah.
wonder, did the coaching staff leak it? Did an agent leak it? Is that Flacco's team maybe trying to, you always have to wonder, like,
Yep.
how does that story get out into the world when people like you and me sit there and we go, I mean, but it's Jalen Hurts though. Like, like it's like he's gonna be
Yeah.
the starter. Like, is how it feels to me. So I don't know. That's
For
interesting. That's one of those storylines to watch because I do think it's possible that, there's a little bit of foul play going on there passively behind the scenes. Somebody's trying to kind of
yeah.
move some shit around.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jalen Hurts starter week 1 through week
I agree.
17,
I agree.
18. How
100%.
many weeks we doing now?
18 now. 18, you still only get one bye week. So they added an extra game.
Yeah.
People were like, did they add an extra bye week? It's like they added one game.
Yeah, for
Why are they going
sure.
to, like,
yeah.
we're not doing 1-1. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? So I would imagine you maybe get to the point where you get a second bye week, but probably if they're playing an 18 game
Yeah.
schedule, that might happen.
Sure.
So anyway, but
Yeah, and I surprisingly enough, I do think that 2 bye week system would be good for football because now you're getting extra weeks,
yep, yep,
and and then the players are happy too because now they're able to get extra rest throughout the season.
yep,
So that's like a double-edged sword of like greatness
yep.
in my book. But
You know what I'm
I
here
don't.
for? I like crazy stuff. You know what I think would be awesome? I think if you gave like half the like I think if you make the playoffs the next season, you get 2 bye weeks. But if you missed the playoffs, you only get one.
yeah.
That would
Huh.
I don't know how you would even make that work, but like if it was like that would be awesome. Because like if you're a team like the
That,
Bears last year that squeaks in that seventh spot into the playoffs, you're playing the Saints. You know you're going to get killed,
yep. But
but
highly beneficial.
you got that benefit of the next season just because you squeaked in. You got this extra bye week next year to look forward to. Teams
That's
would
an
be
interesting
fighting
concept.
more, like, and
Yeah.
the fans would I think be a little more engaged because it would mean a little
Oh,
more
for
like
sure.
because you can't tell me a lot of Bears fans thought they were going to beat the Saints. So it was like, oh cool, now we got to play another week.
For
She'll
sure.
lose
They were,
anyway.
very, very hopeful to be able to pull one out over them.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, not looking the best. But yeah, when you add that element of because then you get a lot of you're gonna get some like good football at the end of the year because of that.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. No doubt, because all the good teams will have had the 2 buys. And now you're overcoming adversity if you're a 1 bye week team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and now you have a disadvantage and you come in and you get, it's interesting.
That kind of evens out the draft a little bit,
Yep,
with you know, yeah, it's an interesting concept. I will say that.
yep.
I will say that. Um, guys, we talked about them every day this week. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we've
I like
touched
it.
on them,
I
but
like it.
you already know where it's going.
I like it.
Guys, I think we're slowly becoming Jaguars fans. I think I think that's what you're witnessing happening. But our guy DJ Chark Jr. over with the Jacksonville Jaguars, hey, he took a big leap today. No
Uh,
pun intended, because he's a wide receiver and he jumps out the field. I was gonna say Jim, but that doesn't make sense. But DJ Chark actually really opened up, talked about anxiety and depression for Mental Health Awareness Month, which,
okay.
hey, that was awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
A guy do something like that because those are for a lot of people very tough things to talk about. I think it's
Yep.
becoming more socially acceptable, and I think you're seeing it more, which is actually helping out a ton of people.
Yeah.
And but just hear the guy talk about his experience with anxiety and depression, and he was actually diagnosed when he was at LSU.
Okay.
he found that out. So he kind of talked about his journey of like handling it, what he does to help cope,
Yep.
things like that. So very informative over there. And that takes. I saw Ian Rappaport say it. I'm gonna steal it here because I think it's good.
Okay.
But he did. But I'll just quotes my source.
Yep.
But he did say he's like that was like he's like doing something like this is definitely more impressive than like catching a ball over the middle.
Yeah, man.
Like for sure.
Yep.
So happy to see DJ, taking that step to really help people out, and try to get them to understand the things that maybe they're dealing with, but they don't know that they're dealing with. Because it could be a tough time sometimes. Is like when something's going on and you don't know what it is, that could be scary. That can
Hmm.
cause a lot of havoc. But then once you connect the dot of like, oh no, that is this, then it becomes a whole different thing, and you can start to understand it, learn about what's going on, and
Yep.
really help yourself out.
Absolutely.
So proud of him. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, essentially, they're doing their own hard knocks this year with
With what they
their
got.
media team.
Yep.
Like seriously, like they got a team over there that is like really pushing out some content, and you have guys like DJ Chark who's willing to open up about their story, things that they're dealing with. I don't know who's a part of like the social media or like the marketing over in Jacksonville Jaguars, but
Yep.
I think they definitely need to be recognized because I think they're doing some big things to get them some buzz and
Yeah.
things like this. And when you have great players on your team like DJ Chark who's willing to open up, it just makes it so much easier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool to see like that's a situation where it's good. It's inspiring to see football players, right, come out and talk about that stuff because I think
Yeah,
a lot of the typical football fans that you see are the type of people that might be going through the same thing, but they don't feel like for whatever
yeah,
reason they want to talk about it or whatever. And so to see some
yeah.
of these athletes at the level that they're at in the sport that they're at, particularly, to be able to talk about that stuff is really cool. So I think that's great to see. And yeah, I agree with you. I think the Jaguars there's clearly a vision there of like, hey, we
Yeah,
need to get ourselves out more into the conversation. And
sure.
I think if they have some success, they don't need to have a ton, but I think if they
Mm-hmm.
are able to put together a little bit of success, and to be honest, in their division, not impossible. The Houston Texans are an
Yeah.
absolute dumpster fire. So that's a team in that division that they can definitely overtake, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to be a good team. I do.
Yeah,
Like
for
in
sure.
fairness, I do think that's
But
realistically
they could
where they're
they
at.
could potentially split 1-1 with them.
It's
Trade off game.
And that's the thing is if they get some wins like that and they show that there's something going on, maybe Trevor Lawrence wins and rookie of the year, right? Something
Yep.
along those lines. If they show that they have some momentum, I could see them being able to pull a lot of free agents in the offseason
Yeah.
with
Yep.
especially Florida is very attractive because of the no state tax and stuff. And I could see
Mm-hmm.
them starting to build some momentum. I think the first step in this plan that they're using is, like you said, it's that media focus. It's trying to find these unique stories to put out there. And it's not,
Yeah.
hey, we have a quarterback controversy like everyone else. Look at us.
Yeah.
It's no, we have these other things. We've got Tebow. We've got a guy talking about mental health. We've
Yep.
got Urban Meyer, who used to be a college coach. There's sort of
Yeah.
these obscure news stories,
It,
and it's
but they're all positive too in a
yes,
way, which
yes,
is
for
like
sure.
the nuts thing.
For sure, man. I agree. I agree. It's very nice. It's every team has a quarterback controversy or they're about to the coach is on the hot seat and all
Yeah.
that it's a negative press and it's the same as every other team in the league. Every other team has that same
Yep.
stuff going on. It doesn't make your team different and special. So,
Yeah.
for them to have this unique angle, it's cool to see, man. I'm excited to watch it. I really am.
Yeah. Like I said, I do think we're kind of turning into a little bit of Jaguars stands, but hey, that's all right. AFC team, so I'm all about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nick, what do we you got? You got anything on your mind on this wonderful Friday?
So here's what I got on Friday, I think, to close us out here today. So here's what I was thinking. I was thinking a lot about training camp recently, and I started thinking to
Okay.
myself this idea of which team, now that we're in training camp, we're in the new season, right? And some of the COVID restrictions across the country are kind of opening up. And
Yep.
things, I believe the NFL said they're trying to be full capacity in all the stadiums when the season starts. So let's kind of play in that world for a minute, okay? In that sort of
Uh huh.
sandbox. Let's look at the NFL, let's say, is fully opened when the season starts.
Yep.
If that is the case, which teams benefit the most from having a non-COVID season, a normal season? I started thinking about that. And so I've got two that I think
Yeah, I
are
already know one.
are going to benefit the most. The first is the New England Patriots.
Okay,
The
yeah,
reason being, the New England Patriots had the most guys sit out last year. They took the COVID opt out, right? And that really decimated a lot of their starting defense. Those guys
yeah,
are all returning this year. And so just having that those returners come back, like we're Packers fans, right? The only real big
yeah,
name that sat out was Devin Funchess. So
yeah,
when you're looking at a team like the Patriots, they had multiple starters sit out. So I think they will get a huge benefit from COVID like being lifted. Then the second team that I think benefits is a team that is they benefit from the other side of it, right? They benefit from the fans aspect. I think the New
yeah,
Orleans Saints will benefit a
yeah,
lot from having fans back in that stadium because the Saints last
yeah,
year had a good team. Now Drew Brees has been made fun of. I believe certain parts of the internet have said that he had a noodle arm and he couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards, and that might be true. But I
yeah,
remember as a Packers fan sitting and watching the Packers have to play them uh, in New Orleans, I
yeah.
think like week 2, and being very
Yeah.
happy that there were not fans there because I felt like
Mm-hmm.
it was an even playing field then. And we've talked about this before. Whenever it was the other day, we were talking about how the home teams had, it was the only year with the losing record. I think the dome that they play in and the energy of the fans. I think that New Orleans has always
Yeah.
had a huge home field advantage, and I think them transitioning to a new quarterback this year and having
Yeah.
Jameis kind of step in, who's a veteran who knows how to play. I think
Yep.
transitioning to a new quarterback and then getting that help of the fans being back, I think is going to be very, very helpful for them. I think it makes life a lot harder for Tampa when they have to play there this year.
Yeah.
I think that makes life a lot harder for a lot of teams that have to go to New Orleans. So those are the
Yep.
two teams that I think benefit the most from a non-COVID season. But I'm curious to see
Yeah.
what comes to mind for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one team for sure that benefited from a COVID season was the Green Bay Packers
Uh-huh.
because you had Aaron Rodgers, his hard count, you know,
Yep.
like when there's no one in the stadium, he's able to do that whenever and
Yeah,
wherever.
absolutely. Yep.
Um, but I will say a team that's I think will benefit the most from fans. Like you always have Seattle because like the way their stadium's built and just how loud it gets there and the energy of their 12th man.
Yep.
Um, I don't. I think like I mean, don't get me wrong. Every team's going to be pumped to have fans back,
Yep.
but I kind of turn my attention just over to the Las Vegas Raiders
Yeah, okay.
because I think the energy on those games is going to be so electric
Yeah.
that I think that's like because I mean you did have guys like Marshawn Lynch and stuff like that. That if could you imagine hit like Marshawn Lynch in a Las Vegas Raiders
Oh
stadium,
yeah, no
like
doubt.
he's going to be at the games for
No
sure,
doubt.
and like just the energy, the amount of energy that I think will come out of that stadium is going to be nuts, and I'm be interested to see how that affects the way the Raiders play.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think that's a great one too. I really do. I think that's a great one to
And
look at.
I think Cleveland's going to be fucking pumped.
Yes.
I think Cleveland having fans back after the season they had
Yes.
last year, that place will be rocking as well.
Yes.
It's going to be very difficult to go and play in Cleveland with their team starting to have success now
Yep.
and looking like a solid contender and bringing back the dog pound.
Yep. I would not be shocked if we see a situation where like an overwhelming amount of home teams win games this year. Like it flips. Like I would not be shocked
Yeah.
if we have a situation this year where, it's we look back and go, wow, that was like the most home games won. I think if you're a team that can play well on the road this year, and that's
Yep.
always important, but I think this year in particularly, if you're a team that can go on the road and win some games, I think you're going to put yourself in good shape. I'll also be honest with you. It's why I don't like people that think the Patriots might go undefeated. Brady's talking about this and that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I think if anything, we're going to go back a little bit to the days with a little more parity in the league, and it's going to be I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked if you get a 12-4 team as the 1 seed in both conferences. And if we
Yeah.
get back to
Yep.
that, where you've got a 9-7 that gets into that 7 spot, and you've got a mess of 10-6, 11-5 in the middle. I don't think a
Yeah.
14-2 is necessarily on the horizon. Like I
Yeah.
think it's going to be very hard to win on the road. It just is. And the other thing is the
Yeah.
distractions on the road come back. Like think about it.
Yep.
When you go to Los Angeles
For
last
sure.
season, you can't
And
go
it's
out to
all
the
shut
club
down.
the night before. It's all
Yeah.
right. This year those distractions come back in Miami, they come back in LA, they come back in New York, Chicago, Houston, like these big markets. It's going to be hard to win games
Yeah.
in those places, especially a place like a New Orleans where there's a ton of distractions and they have the fans.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it. These places, these certain atmospheres, Vegas is a great one. I think
Yes.
that is something to watch. If your team can win, and the veteran teams are going to be better at it, right? But if your team can
Yep.
win on the road consistently this year, like you are probably going to put yourself in a beautiful position, right? You're playing 8 road
Yes.
games. I mean, if you're playing 8 road games this year and you can figure out a way to win 5 of them, you're good to go, in my mind. You are
Yeah.
looking at a
Yep.
great seed when the playoffs come. So I'm excited to see that, man. But yeah, it'll be cool to see things shift now that we're on the horizon here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, I think everyone needs it. It's exciting. We're starting to get really done with COVID
No doubt.
and just kind of put it behind us. It's like to the point now that I'm double V'd up. It's
For
like,
sure.
all right, let's.
For
The
sure.
mask thing. It seems like it's coming to the end. Like, but it's just like that. It is a little bit of an awkward period of like, all right, do we wear a mask? Do we not? Try to be respectful, but also let's get back to
I
living.
dig
I
it.
think everyone can agree with that.
100%.
So with that, I'm gonna say, you jabronis, you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. We'll be back on Monday and Monday night. Sorry. We'll be back Monday evening as well for our next preview for Monday Evening Football.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Look at it, man.
Yeah.
Let's have a weekend, guys. If you're listening to this, let's
Yeah,
have a
for sure.
weekend.
Maybe go to a wedding, have some drinks with family, really celebrate life. Really celebrate life out here.
That's what it's all about.
So, all right, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And you know what? Today it's been real fun.
We'll see.